The golden light of the rising sun sprinkled into the community and entered the room through the window. Fish, fish, eat quickly, you will gain weight if you eat. Beside the palm-sized transparent fish tank, Yehauren slowly crushed the snacks and threw them into the water. Gudu! A small goldfish poked its head out of the water and glanced at him with its big eyes. In a blink of an eye, he ate all the food on the surface of the water, spit out a few bubbles, turned around and returned to the bottom of the water. Looking at the little goldfish with long fingers, Yehauren sighed helplessly. He has raised this fish for 3 years, and it has only grown from half a finger long to a finger long. This growth rate is really outrageous. According to the usual practice, in the Lingwu era, the strength of human beings is almost linked to their contracted spirits. Thousands of years ago, Huiguo vigorously developed science and technology to explore outer space, and found a special planet at the edge of the solar system. The planet is full of various relics. Huiguo explored among them, and came into contact with the magical profession of Imperial Spirit Master. The combat effectiveness of the Imperial Spirit Master is beyond imagination, and the cooperation between himself and the contracted spirit is extremely powerful. Since then, people have begun to vigorously develop Spirit Masters, and Spirit Masters have become popular among the people. And to commemorate the day when the planet was discovered, it was named the first year of the Lingwu era. As the student with the best grades in the cultural class in the class, Yehauren knows these histories well. A beast master will form his own contract partner at the age of 14, and this little goldfish is Yehauren's contract spirit. The first contract spirit will accompany the beast master for life, and its importance is unparalleled. It's a pity that the strength of this little goldfish is beyond words. It cannot be said to be weak, it can only be said that it is so weak that it explodes. Still getting in the way. He has raised this fish for several years, and the level of Yuling has always been the first level, and it has not changed. Moreover, it can only be a disservice in actual combat. Imagine that other people's contract spirits are all flame lions, wind tigers, etc., and they are majestic when they go on stage. And he, Yehauren, had to hug a fish tank when fighting, fearing that the little goldfish would die as soon as it came out of the water, fighting with one hand and holding tanks with the other. Yehauren's actual combat is completely funny. And he has to be careful not to break the fish tank. If the little goldfish dies without water, he will send it completely. Xiaohuzi, it's time to go to school. Mother Hao shouted from the kitchen. Here comes Mom. Finally, he glanced at the little goldfish resentfully. Yehauren stood up and was about to eat. Ding dong! Hualong system starts. The host is asked to cultivate animal pets according to the choice. A strange word suddenly appeared in front of Yehauren. Before he could react, the choice had already come. Option 1, go to eat immediately. Reward, increase appetite by 5%. Option 2, grill the little goldfish and become an ordinary person in the future. Reward, a title of heroic severing wrist, and the dragon transformation system disappears. Option 3, feed the goldfish with the food given by the system. Reward, the goldfish begins to evolve, and the first skill is activated. The corner of Yehauren's mouth twitched slightly. This system seems to be abnormal. Choice 1 is okay, but what is choice 2? Not caring about anything else, Yehauren chose the third option by default. In an instant, a bag of feed appeared in his hand out of thin air, and the package said Hualong brand feed, whoever uses it can transform into a dragon. This easy to understand slogan made him stare dumbfounded. The one who named it is very clever, right? Yehauren tore open the package, casually sprinkled some feed into the fish tank, eager to see the reaction of the goldfish. Since it is something given by the system, it should be useful, right? The goldfish that were sleeping leisurely at the bottom of the tank just now rushed to the surface of the water and ate up the feed. In an instant, the goldfish stretched half a finger in Yehauren's stunned eyes. Seeing that Yehauren was stunned by flax. Cooperating with these few grains of feed will be the top of my 3-year feed, right? Does this system give hormones or fertilizers? Yeharan took the dragon transformation feed on the side, picked it up and smelled it. The taste is quite fragrant, but I don't know if it is good or not. Suddenly, Yu reading www.yuuganshu.com. Yeharan seemed to have thought of something, and hurriedly opened the attribute panel of his contract spirit. Goldfish, evolvable, star, 1 level, level 2 Yuling skill, dragon song, level 1 let out a roar to frighten the enemy. The duration and effect are subject to the actual situation. Damn it, it's actually upgraded. Yeharan exclaimed, this is something he hasn't done for several years. The level of the Spirit Master is calculated according to the highest level of the Spirit Master, which means that he is now a 2nd level Spirit Master. Moreover, I also comprehended a skill. In the future actual combat, the little goldfish can help him share a little pressure. Moreover, now that there are 3 words that can evolve after the goldfish, his little goldfish will not stop at 1 star. This system is a bit powerful. Yeharan stroked his chin with thoughtful eyes. With such a powerful system, isn't he the protagonist? With the aura of the protagonist added, then I can run rampant in Baitong City. It seems that the suffering period of the previous 3 years was the test of the system for me. Now Yeharan is in his prime. Looking at the little goldfish spitting out bubbles in the fish tank, Yeharan wept with joy, hugged and laughed. Xiao Hao, are you sick again? Hao's mother pushed the door open, looked at Yeharan holding the fish tank with a silly smirk, and said, if you really don't like it, ask your dad to add a dish temporarily and roast it to add to the fun. No, no, this is not for baking. Yeharan quickly shook his head, but the evolved goldfish is now his lifeblood, you can't roast goldfish even if you roast him. After a hearty breakfast, Yeharan came to Nantong No. 3 Middle School. Good morning, sir. Yeharan had a smile on his face, and greeted the doorman warmly. The guard's expression froze, and he muttered in a low voice, with you here, I can't be better. Yeharan has black lines all over his head, what are you talking about? If you can't say it, don't say it. Yeharan greeted the freshman students enthusiastically, walked into the classroom and sat in the last row, fell asleep. There is no way, he is too gifted in cultural subjects, he can learn without listening, it is reasonable to catch up on sleep first. After a while, the teacher stepped on the class bell and walked in and talked about things. The 3rd class taught by Lu Fei has always been the first in grade, with excellent grades. Especially just being praised by the principal this morning, it made her feel a little flustered. Who knew she had only talked about the precautions for the midterm exam for a while, and when she looked up, she saw, a student in the last row was so sleepy that he was bleeding out. The good mood was destroyed in an instant. Lu Fei picked up a piece of chalk and threw it over. Ouch! The students sitting in the row in front of Yeharan covered their foreheads with resentment on their faces. Let's just say that the accuracy can be higher. Lu Fei just coughed lightly, and said, wake up the one behind you. Reluctantly, Yeharan opened his blurred eyes. Looking at the strange classmates in front of him, Yeharan exclaimed, oh my god, where is this? Lu Fei frowned, now that she recognized him, she said, Yeharan, what are you doing in our 3rd shift? Well, I said I went to the wrong classroom, do you believe me? On the other side, the atmosphere in class 2 and 5 was extremely oppressive, as if a volcano was about to erupt. Where is Yeharan? Zhou Jianghai looked at his watch, stared and said, Su Chen, do you know? After a while, the culture class exam will start, but the monitor, Yeharan, has not been seen yet. Glancing at the empty space next to her, Su Chen spread her hands, no chicken. Maybe I lost my way. Hearing this, everyone fell silent. On the campus of Nyo University, where is there no trace of Yeharan? How could it be possible to get lost here as he was familiar with it like home? Boom! The classroom door popped open suddenly, making Zhou Jianghai's hands tremble in fright. Well, sorry everyone, it's late. Ye Haoran said with a hippie smile while carrying his school bag. He didn't pay attention to Zhou Jianghai on the podium at all. Ye Haoran! Zhou Jianghai yelled, "Why did you go there, kid? Did you go to kidnap someone again? How is it possible?" Ye Haoran shook his head quickly. At this moment, a piece of hemp rope fell out of his loose school bag. "Everyone!" Ye Haoran quickly stuffed the hemp rope back into his school bag, pretended nothing happened and returned to his seat. Zhou Jianghai sighed and said, "Students, the midterm exam is very important, especially the culture class. You must not only focus on the actual combat class, you must take the exam well." This time, the school gave out 100,000 yuan of beast inner alchemy as a reward. Everyone should seize this opportunity. Glancing at Ye Haoran, who was sleepy and was pecking at the chicken, Zhou Jianghai said, "There are still some students who should pay attention. Even if the culture class is full, it is useless to have no points in the actual combat class. You just got my ID number." Ye Haoran pouted, "I'm afraid you don't know that my little goldfish is different. I am a man with great luck." Jingle bell! The midterm exam cultural class test has officially started. In the examination room, Ye Haoran was full of confidence, took the test paper and wrote his name on it. He's doing well in the culture test. At this moment, the system suddenly gave an option. Choice 1, Zhou Jianghai was off as he also scored 0 in the culture test. Reward, a title of respecting teachers and emphasizing ways, which will be automatically assigned to the post of teachers after graduation. Option 2, Zhou Jianghai was completely disappointed with an unremarkable test result. Reward, attribute potion +1. Option 3, get full marks with a high-profile attitude and successfully pretend to be aggressive. Reward, strength potion +1. The corner of Ye Haoran's mouth twitched. What the is this choice 1? What do you mean by assigning me a job as a teacher? What kind of potion are the rewards for choice 2 and choice 3, but choice 3 is obviously more in line with his appetite. Snapped. Ye Haoran slammed the test paper on the table, causing everyone around to look at it. Ye Haoran, if the 300 point test paper this time falls short of the full score by 2 points like last time, I will let Su Chen be single for 20 years. Ye Haoran stretched out 4 fingers and said in a dignified manner. The people around looked contemptuous. You are really good at pretending. Who doesn't know that you got 298 points in the exam last semester? And if you don't get full marks in the exam, what's the matter with Su Chen? Ye Haoran, give me the exam honestly. You read book www.yuyuganshu.com. If you don't take the exam, get out. Zhou Jianghai slapped the podium, and the examination room fell silent instantly. Ye Haoran picked up the pen and began to answer seriously. Half an hour later, Ye Haoran put down his pen and let out a satisfied breath. It takes 2 hours to take such a simple test paper, what a waste of time. However, the rewards from the system have not been credited to the account. Could it be that he is not pretending enough? Thinking of this, Ye Haoran picked up the test paper and flipped it on the table. Listening to the sound of the test paper being flipped, the students around Ye Haoran became nervous, and hurriedly looked up to see how much time was left for the test. Okay, Ye Haoran, we all know you're done, don't flip over. Zhou Xiaoyu, the study committee member sitting on Ye Haoran's left, said helplessly in a low voice. Award obtained, strength potion +1. The pretense was successful, and the system's reward finally arrived. I just don't know what this power potion is for, but it should be a good thing. Just as he was calculating, the surrounding light suddenly dimmed. When he looked up, Zhou Jianghai's frosty face was staring at him. Finished. Okay. Zhou Jianghai took the test paper, turned around and said, get out of the back door. After a while, Ye Haoran was driven to the empty corridor, and the classroom door behind him was directly closed. I'm a great thief, Lao Gao, how dare you treat me like this? Ye Haoran muttered in a low voice, Thinking about Zhou Jianghai's angry appearance, he gave up the idea of kicking the door back. Next, wait for the practical class in the afternoon. Ye Haoran wandered around the campus with his school bag on his back, causing everyone to stare at him. The two of them were talking in the grove. Ye Haoran listened curiously. "Brother Zhang, let me tell you, this man is so vicious that he can do anything. And he doesn't respect his teacher at all, he's like a bandit, he's a street slut." A sophomore in school uniform was filled with righteous indignation, and was crying to a senior in half-length school uniform. "And the worst thing about that person is that he likes to pretend to be aggressive. We can't beat him." "Well, that's because he didn't meet me, wait until I find someone to cure him." The senior in the half-length school uniform nodded, with a look of contempt, full of gangsters. Ye Haoran was also shaking his head while listening. He didn't expect that there would be such a pretentious person in the beautiful campus. It's really too much. If he met him, he would have to beat him up. "Brother Zhang, let me tell you, that person is from class 2 and 5, the monitor." Ye Haoran was taken aback. Why did he seem to be talking about himself? He still calls himself a grand thief. "Brother Zhang, I'll find his photo for you." After speaking, he took out his mobile phone and rummaged through it. The third-year bully was so bored, he turned around and took out Huazi and began to swallow his clouds. At this time, the two of them didn't notice at all. A sinister figure holding a hemp rope slowly moved over. The sophomore in high school was still rummaging through his mobile phone, completely unaware of the danger coming. "I'm looking for it, it should be secretly photographed the day before yesterday, hey?" Suddenly, a hemp rope was tightly wrapped around his neck, making him completely speechless. "Well!" At the same time, a sinister hand covered his mouth and dragged him quietly out of the grove. And there was only one mobile phone left on the spot, and the picture displayed on it was Ye Haoran's handsome profile. The third-year gangster smoked half a cigarette, and after half a day saw that there was no response behind him. He turned to look. "Okay." The high school gangster's eyes widened. "Is there anyone behind him?" "There is only a mobile phone lying on the ground, foreshadowing what happened here." "Fuck, hell, me." The gangster took a look around, quickly stomped out the cigarette, and left without picking up the phone. On the other side, in a more hidden bush. The sophomore student was tied tightly, with a rag stuffed in his mouth, and he was looking at Ye Haoran, who was sharpening his knife in horror. He was just passing on a message for others. Why did he take out all the knives? Ye Haoran fiddled with the shining watermelon knife, tore off the rag from the opponent's mouth, and asked, "I seem to hear you saying that some people are bandits. What kind of street sneaks? Why don't you reorganize the language?" "Ye Haoran, don't be too perfect." Feeling the coolness of the watermelon knife, Zhao Jinlong gave up. "Keep talking, don't stop." Ye Haoran took back the watermelon knife and made a fool of himself at any time. Zhao Jinlong swallowed, and stiffly praised, "Brother Ye, you are really handsome, elegant and suave, everyone loves you, and flowers bloom when you see them." Ye Haoran had a happy face, enjoying the unconscionable praise. When Zhao Jinlong boasted that his mouth was dry, Ye Haoran waved his hand to signal to stop, then turned his head and asked, "You said we had no grievances in the past, and we have no vendettas in recent days, why did you come to provoke me?" "I didn't do this. I was just passing on the message. It was Zhao Hui from class 4 who instructed me." Zhao Jinlong's face was calm, and he betrayed others in the blink of an eye. Zhao Hui, Ye Haoran thought for a while. He seemed to have a little impression. During the exam in the practical class last semester, Zhao Hui came to find trouble because of some minor conflicts, and wanted to fight him with a contract spirit duel. He didn't say anything, and before Zhao Hui could react, he slapped him down with a brick, pinned him to the ground and beat him up. I didn't expect that the other party didn't remember to fight so much, and came to provoke him again. It seems that it is time to show his reputation as a great thief. Seeing Ye Haoran turn around and leave, Zhao Jinlong became anxious. Brother, untie me. Find a way to rub off on the tree. By the way, remember to bring the hemp rope back to me. Ye Haoran walked around the gate of Class 4, Grade 2, Class 4 was still taking exams, and no one came out yet. It's just a matter of researching the medicine given by the system first. Ye Haoran decided to find a secluded place, turned around and plunged into the toilet. After closing the compartment door, a bottle of yellow potion appeared in Ye Haoran's hand. Strength potion, increase your own strength by 30%, swallow up to 9 times fuck. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is a good thing. Ye Haoran was shocked immediately. If he swallowed it 9 times, it would increase his strength tenfold. If he can swallow it 9 times, then his physical strength will be able to catch up with some powerful 8th level imperial spirits. This is directly the humanoid giant ape, isn't it? Without hesitation, Ye Haoran swallowed the potion directly. Gudu, gudu. The sound of swallowing sounded in the toilet, and the people on both sides of Ye Haoran's cubicle were stunned. Brother, are you looking for food in the toilet? This gurgle is not going to be. Thinking of that answer, the people on both sides have split. Ye Haoran let out a loud belch, not to mention that the dose of medicine given by this system is quite enough. He pushed open the compartment door, and there were already 2 people waiting for him outside, the people on both sides of him. Seeing Ye Haoran come out, the 2 looked over in shock, or at the medicine bottle with a little yellow liquid left in his hand. In a civilized society, is there really someone eating in the toilet in broad daylight? One of them quickly took out his phone and took a photo, which he forwarded directly to Moments. This moment really took him his whole life to heal, so he retweeted it to make more people split. Seeing the strange eyes of the 2, Ye Haoran hurriedly put away the medicine bottle and left quickly. He doesn't want to be thought of as a pervert. Ye Haoran felt extremely pleasant listening to the winding bell. Feeling the greatly increased strength, he instantly felt that he was doing well again. I, Ye Haoran, am full of righteousness, convincing others with virtue. Ye Haoran anesthetized himself in a low voice, tightened the spare hemp rope in his hand, and stared at the stairs. Looking at the bustling crowd, Ye Haoran quickly locked on to his target. A boy wearing gold-rimmed glasses was walking down the stairs, talking and laughing, with a smile on his face. Only a glimmer of haze occasionally flashed in his eyes. It was Zhao Hui. Brother Zhao, what if the lunatic in Class 5 of the actual combat test in the afternoon comes to cause trouble again? That lunatic is full of strength, and he can't do it without a contract spirit. A younger brother surrounded him and spoke out. What are you afraid of? Do you understand how to convince people with virtue? I've already done it. Zhao Hui smiled hypocritically, as if everything was under control. When the sky cleared and the rain stopped, Zhao Hui felt that he was doing well again. Ever since he was single-killed offline by Ye Haoran last time, he has realized a truth: as a master of spirits, it is a foolish action not to fight with contracted spirits. So now he brings the contract spirit with him at all times. As long as Ye Haoran dares to come, let him lie down and go back. Ye Haoran's eyelids twitched. The grandson's sinister smile was probably thinking of some trick. Seeing that several people were about to come over, Ye Haoran tightened his grip on the hemp rope, ready to give justice to heaven. Suddenly, the system options appeared. Option 1. Send Zhao Hui directly to the hospital so that he cannot take the exam in the afternoon. Obtain the title Conquer Everything with Brute Force, and increase strength by 5%. Option 2. Beat Zhao Hui to a minor injury, and then defeat him in the actual combat test. Obtain reward, Strength Potion +2. Option 3. Leave directly and give up doing anything. Obtain the title Cowardly Escaper, and the escape speed increased by 10%. Ye Haoran raised his eyebrows. Originally he wanted to beat him up directly. But now it seems that a beating first and then another beating in the afternoon exam will benefit the most. Silently put away the hemp rope, Yeharan walked forward quickly. Okay. There was darkness in front of Zhao Hui, and when he looked up Yeharan was already standing in front of him. What are you going to do? Zhao Hui asked doubtfully, could it be that Zhao Jinlong was exposed? I want to make an appointment with you, the actual combat class in the afternoon. Yeharan said directly. Are you sure? I'm sure I'm fine. Zhao Hui sneered in his heart. You will be admitted to the hospital in the afternoon, how could you still come for the exam? Also, since you don't like it, I'll beat you first. After speaking, he directly attacked and punched him. Boom! Zhao Hui couldn't dodge in time, his glasses broke instantly, and his body flew upside down and hit the ground. Why did Nima make a move as soon as he said a word? Zhao Hui was stunned. You're so special. Zhao Hui shook his head, only feeling the stars popping up in front of his eyes, and the sky and the earth spinning for a while. Yeharan was already strong, and he took the medicine given by the system. How could Zhao Hui survive without the help of the contract spirit? Several younger brothers hurriedly helped Zhao Hui up, and Yeharan had already disappeared when he looked up. Hold! Zhao Hui clenched his fists with a gloomy expression on his face. In the actual combat test this afternoon, he had to make Yeharan pay the price. Yeharan hummed a ditty and returned home. Father Ye just looked up and turned off all the phones. Yeharan. Mother Ye came over with the ribs and said, Son, come over for dinner, leave your father alone. After finishing speaking, he turned around and switched his phone to airplane mode. Yeharan, Father Ye sighed, and said, It's not that I doubt you. If you are so happy, it means someone is suffering. I don't want to hear your teacher's criticism. Yeharan didn't dwell on this topic any longer, but changed the subject, where's my little goldfish? Father Ye, in the pot. Yeharan. Rushing to the kitchen, Yeharan found the goldfish in the dish. Fortunately, I came back early, otherwise I would have to drink fish soup. Reaching out to fish out the goldfish, Yeharan directly took back the space of the beast. The space for controlling beasts is provided by every spirit master, and it is used to store their own spirits. Because the little goldfish is useless, Yeharan keeps it at home all the time. Now it seems that it is too dangerous to be at home, and one day it will become fish soup. When he came to the dinner table, Yeharan said seriously, Mom and Dad, do you think I can become a powerful spirit master? Father Ye had a calm face, and directly summoned his imperial spirit, which was a blue giant ape. Xiaoqing, take him to the hospital to have a look at his brain. As soon as the giant ape bared its teeth, its big hand immediately hugged Yeharan. Fuck! Stay away from me! Yeharan had a chill, dodged and jumped aside and said, I'm not sick. I just said, is it possible? No. Father Ye lightly took a mouthful of food, and said, did you expect that little fish to jump over the dragon gate and become a dragon? Yeharan kept silent, but his eyes flickered slightly. It is not impossible to become a golden dragon. Baitong Second Middle School. In the afternoon, the weather was hot, and the strong sunlight shone on Zhao Hui's broken gold-rimmed lenses, which looked ridiculous. Behind him, a silver wolf was lying on the ground, enjoying the service of several younger brothers. Humph, Yeharan. Zhao Hui said bitterly that most of the swelling on his face had disappeared, but bruises could still be seen. I have Aurora Wolf, why do you fight me with a broken fish? At the same time, the silver wolf behind him howled, which attracted the attention of passers-by. The 3-star contract spirit, Aurora Wolf, is a rare and powerful imperial spirit. Known for its speed, it focuses on strong attacks and assassinations, and generally belongs to the main position. Moreover, Zhao Hui's Aurora Wolf has already reached the 4th level of Yuling with the accumulation of a lot of resources, ahead of most people in the grade. This is also the reason for Zhao Hui's self-confidence. With the help of Aurora Wolf, Yehaoren's brute force is useless at all. At this time, Yehaoren walked over from a distance at the school gate. Brother, rope! Zhao Jinlong stepped forward quickly, bowed his head in front of Zhao Hui, and said, Brother Yat, I have deeply reflected on my mistakes. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. I will behave in the future and stop doing bad things. With that said, Zhao Jinlong handed over the hemp rope and a few pieces of paper. Yehaoren looked down and saw that it was an apology letter, which was full of words of praise for him. Yehaoren nodded, put away the letter of apology. Of course, this kind of thing is to be appreciated slowly at night. Zhao Hui's eyes flickered, and he knew that Zhao Jinlong's soft bones were unreliable. Yehaoren ignored Zhao Hui and walked directly into the Douling Pavilion. The Douling Hall is a fighting place built by the school, which is specially used for students to use in fighting. Because Yuling's abilities are strange and destructive, the fighting spirit field is built very solidly, and the height is also very high, tens of meters. Yehaoren came directly to the assembly point of the 5th class, and saw Su Chen, who had arrived early, at a glance. What's wrong with you? Looking at Su Chen with bruised eyes, Yehaoren asked suspiciously, as one of the 2 thieves in Baitong, why did you call someone else to beat you? Oh, don't mention it. Su Chen waved his hand and said, Today, Lao Zhou, the invigilator, looked at my test paper and said that I was a fool. I was so angry that I tied him with a hemp rope. Then, you got caught. Yehaoren looked at him like a fool. I got it, I didn't get it. Su Chen said silently, I was beaten up. You are really awesome. Lao Zhou is a level 26 spirit master. Yehaoren gave a thumbs up directly, you dare to provoke each other. Su Chen changed the subject and asked, I heard that you have an appointment with Zhao Hui from class 4, are you sure? The corner of Yehaoren's mouth raised slightly, and he leaned into Su Chen's ear and said, have you ever heard of the dragon chant? Seeing that Yehaoren didn't care about him, Zhao Hui snorted coldly and put away the Aurora wolf. The younger brothers didn't bother themselves, and dispersed in a desperate manner. By the time the class bell rang, all 10 classes in the 2nd year of high school had arrived. The test rules are still to determine the top 4 in each class, and then participate in the grade competition to determine the ranking. At the same time, students in each class can make an appointment with each other under the condition of mutual agreement, and the winner will get the exam reward of the loser. Director Wang of the Academic Affairs Office read out the test rules, and the head teachers of each class began to organize competitions. The top 16 will still be determined according to the method of the last competition, and Yehaoren will naturally have a bye, no problem. Zhou Jianghai said lightly, looking at everyone in the class at the same time. The people in the class shook their heads for a while, saying that there was no problem, as if Yehaoren's bye was a matter of course. It was someone who was too tough. There were 34 people in class 5, but Yehaoren directly transferred one in order to have a bye. At this moment, the system suddenly gave an option. Choice 1, take a bye as you should, be a salted fish. Reward, strength plus 5%. Option 2, rely on your own strength to enter the top 16 of the class, and then duel with Zhao Hui. Reward, strength potion plus 3. Option 3, use the bomb provided by the system to blow up the school to the ground. Reward, immortal tombstone plus 1. Is it still necessary to choose? It must be the best reward for choice 2. Choose the option of 3 pure cattle and horses, and detonate a bomb in a school with so many people. The reward is the tombstone, which already foretells the consequences. No, I object. Everyone heard the sound and looked, only to see Yehaoren raised his hand high. Su Chen was seriously injured, I suggest giving the bye to the injured. Yehaoren pointed at the lively Su Chen, talking nonsense in a serious manner. Su Chen, when did you become so kind? Zhou Jianghai didn't say much, and directly gave Su Chen the bye qualification. The match starts now. In the first group, Zhang Shui will face Linghu Hangxuan. After Zhou Jianghai's voice fell, a man and a woman walked up to the Dou Lingtai. Okay, both parties release the contract spirit and are ready to start. Zhou Jianghai went to the stage to act as the referee in person. The battle of the Imperial Spirit Master is more dangerous, and accidents may occur at any time. Brother Hangxuan, please be merciful. Zhang Shui called first. The space around her was shattered, a fox rushed out, and the momentum of the third-level Yuling spread out. Magic Fox, a 2-star Imperial Spirit, focuses on control, and is a relatively common Imperial Spirit. Linghu Hangxuan's expression didn't change, the space around him split open, and a silver flying eagle appeared in his hand. Lia Conjing, the 3-star Yuling, mainly relies on speed to quickly approach the enemy and launch an attack. Split Sky Eagle is also a 3rd-level Imperial Spirit, and the momentum of the two parties is equal to each other. Start! Zhou Jianghai's voice sounded, and the Phantom Fox beside Zhang Shui jumped onto her shoulder, and a pink halo emanated from the Phantom Fox's body. It is the Magic Fox's talent skill, Phantom, which disrupts the opponent's perception. Linghu Hangxuan narrowed his eyes slightly, and 3 figures of Zhang Shui had already appeared in his eyes at this moment. Humph! The Lai Kongying in his hand understood, and immediately diffused silver light, making Linghu Hangxuan's eyes even stained with silver. Whoosh! Linghu Hangxuan's figure shot out like an off-string arrow, turning into a flowing light and rushing towards a figure of Zhang Shui. Yehaoren's expression moved slightly. The speed of the Sky Ripper Eagle was really powerful. If he had this kind of skill, he would no longer be afraid of being chased. At this time, Linghu Hangxuan on the Dou Lingtai was running around like a headless chicken, and under the influence of the illusion, he couldn't notice Zhang Shui standing in the center of the Dou Lingtai. Ugh! Zhou Jianghai sighed, and stopped Linghu Hangxuan who was about to charge outside the Dou Lingtai. Zhang Shui's hung. Zhang Shui withdrew the Magic Fox's skills, and Linghu Hangxuan's eyes immediately became clear. He gave Zhang Shui a cold look, then turned and left. I still say the same thing, the offensive Spirit Master must observe carefully, find the weakness of the control enemy before launching an attack, and not be reckless. Zhou Jianghai commented, and then read, next group, Yehaoren vs. Zhou Hao. Unexpectedly, it would be him so soon. Yehaoren came to the stage with great strides. Of course, he took a fish tank prepared in advance. Okay. Zhou Hao was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect his opponent to be Yehaoren. He only studied Su Chen's skill information, but he didn't expect Yehaoren to replace him suddenly. Both sides are ready. Start! Yehaoren stretched his muscles and was about to summon the little goldfish when an option popped up in front of him. Option 1, directly reveal the powerful skills of the goldfish to defeat the opponent. Reward, strength plus 10%. Option 2, put away the goldfish and fight with brute force to prevent Zhao Hui from peeping. Reward, strength potion plus 1. Yehaoren raised his eyebrows. This system also has a reminder function. He raised his head and looked around, and sure enough, he saw Zhao Hui looking secretly behind the pillar. That being the case, there is no need for a small goldfish. Yehaoren put away the fish tank, looked at Zhou Hao who was calling, and rushed up directly. Zhou Hao was taken aback for a moment. His contract spirit was relatively large, and it took 4 to 5 seconds to summon it. And this time is enough for Yehaoren to come to his eyes. Boom! The muffled sound of physical impact sounded. Zhou Hao was knocked to the ground directly, and the space crack summoned by the contract was also a little unstable. Didn't interrupt. Yehaoren frowned. He was afraid of hurting his classmates and didn't use all his strength. He just wanted to interrupt the contract call. Zhou Hao was kicked several meters away again, but he had confidence in his eyes because his contract call was completed. Roar! A black figure appeared in front of Yehaoren, and a chimpanzee roared at him with its mouth wide open. What are you calling for? Yehaoren curled his lips, and punched a chimpanzee who was about as tall as him on the chin. No no no! The chimpanzee covered his mouth in pain and took a few steps back. Just now when he was roaring, his tongue stuck out. In the end, Yiharan's uppercut almost bit off his own tongue. Zhou Hao also got up from the ground and approached the chimpanzee directly. Roar! Roar! One man and one beast let out a roar at the same time, and the body of the chimpanzee gradually became unreal and directly attached to Zhou Hao's body. Chimpanzee talent skill, powerful possession, giving 70% of his own strength to the spirit master himself. Generally, humanoid contract spirits will have this kind of innate skill, and chimpanzees are quite common. Zhou Hao's eyes were slightly red, and he rushed forward to Yiharan. Yiharan's expression turned pale, and his legs were slightly bent, and he pushed up directly. Boom! The muscles of Yiharan's arms suddenly bulged, directly resisting Zhou Hao's forward momentum. The students in the audience opened their mouths wide in surprise, and they could stuff a duck egg in their mouths. How can an ordinary human who doesn't use a contract spirit stand up to a powerful spirit master? Zhou Jianghai was also taken aback. Yu reading www.yuuganchu.com. He didn't expect Yiharan's power to become so strong. At this time Zhou Hao was also a little confused, but now he was blessed by the contract spirit. It doesn't make sense. Unscientific. Zhou Hao didn't believe this evil. The phantom chimpanzee on his body roared, and the power of blessing increased again. But Yiharan still didn't take half a step back, and the two remained in a stalemate like this. Time passed by every minute and every second, and 10 minutes passed in a blink of an eye. The eyes of the students in the audience were weird. Why is this competition of the spirit master feeling a bit weird? Zhou Jianghai coughed lightly, and said, I said you two are over there? There are still many people waiting below. If you can't tell the winner within 3 minutes, you will be considered a loser. Hearing this, Zhou Hao really felt like crying. He didn't want to either. Isn't this no match for Yiharan? He is only a 3rd-level beast master, and the chimpanzee only has 1 skill. Yiharan's muscles were so sore at the moment, but his eyes were fixed on the phantom on Zhou Hao's body. Suddenly, the phantom of the chimpanzee began to fade rapidly, and Zhou Hao's blessed power disappeared instantly. The power to control the spirit is exhausted. Zhou Hao scratched his head in embarrassment. The blessing of the Yuling is to consume the power of controlling the spirit, and it will be automatically withdrawn when the power of controlling the spirit is exhausted. He only competed with Yiharan on the stage and forgot the time. Can we discuss this? Seeing Yiharan approaching, Zhou Hao said weakly. Go. Yiharan directly threw Zhou Hao out of the Doulingtai, and at the same time the system's notification sounded. Reward, Strength Potion +1. Yiharan wins. Zhou Jianghai rubbed his forehead. Although Yiharan could beat outrageous thieves with his own strength, but Imperial Masters were the mainstream after all. A powerful beast master can turn the world upside down, but it is simply not comparable to a mortal body. Yiharan walked back to the rest area. Su Chen gave him a thumbs up from a distance. Awesome Yiharan, your strength is getting stronger and stronger. It's a trifle. On the other side, Zhao Hui withdrew his gaze, with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. Sure enough, Yiharan was still the useless spirit master he knew who could only use brute force. In the battle for a while, he will definitely let Yiharan realize the power of the 4th-level beast master. Achoo! Yiharan rubbed his nose. Who the is thinking about him? He opened the zipper of the school bag, found the hemp rope, and stroked it gently, seeing Zhou Jianghai beside him with trepidation. This is a sign that something is going to happen. After 2 hours of intense competition, the list of the top 16 in the class has been released. The next step is to enter the 8th round of 16, and the top 8 will have a ranking award given by the school. Most of the ranking rewards are some ferocious beast inner alchemy, which can be used to absorb and improve the level of the spirit master. In the first match, Yiharan confronted Bai Chu Feng. Zhou Jianghai read slowly. He deliberately put Yiharan at the front, just to let him leave as soon as possible to avoid trouble. I surrender. Ye Haoran replied cleanly, there is no reward from the system if he continues to fight, and he is still in a hurry to get Zhao Hui. Bai Chifeng, who had just appeared on stage, was taken aback for a moment. He didn't expect it to end before he appeared on stage. Then Bai Chifeng wins. Next, Su Chen vs. Zhang Xuet. Teacher, I also admit defeat. Zhou Jianghai. How about the two of you singing urns when here? You have to surrender together, so neat? Zhou Jianghai waved his hand, motioning for the two to climb quickly. Next, Ye Haoran directly pulled Su Chen away from the 5th class, and found a hiding place. Do you still remember the one from class 4 who came to find fault? Ye Haoran asked. Finding faults? There are too many, I can't remember. Su Chen spread her hands, with a helpless expression on her face. It's the one that I beat up in the final exam, the one that sucked. Oh, I remembered, it seems to be called Zhao Hui. The corner of Ye Haoran's mouth raised slightly. He came to provoke me again this morning, how about we beat him up on behalf of the 5th class? Well, you said to have a date with him. Su Chen raised his eyebrows. He seems to be a 4th level spirit master, so what about our 1st level and 3rd level ones? Su Chen's contract spirit is a white bird. It is fast but has poor attack power. It can only be used as a support. Do you think there is a possibility that my buddy is also a 2nd level spirit master? When the time comes, I will kill him, and you will be responsible for the response. Ye Haoran stroked his hair and said confidently. Of course, his self-confidence comes not only from the little goldfish, but also from the strength potion that the system just rewarded. After finishing speaking, Ye Haoran directly found a toilet nearby, closed the compartment door and began to use the powerful potion. Googling. The sound of swallowing made the people squatting around the pit feel nervous, and the people in Ye Haoran's cubicle silently opened the group chat on the mobile phone. Guys, there's a freak eating in the bathroom, what should I do? After Ye Haoran finished drinking, he put away the medicine bottle, groped his body for a long time but couldn't find any paper, so he knocked on the partition of the compartment. Dude, do you have any paper? Wipe your mouth. The person in the cubicle was startled, and hastily handed over the 2 remaining pieces of paper. The strength has increased a lot, it's so refreshing. Ye Haoran stood up and felt the power of becoming stronger, and couldn't help sighing. The corners of the mouths of the people in the toilet twitched when they heard it. It was outrageous. Eating feces can also increase strength, which is really insightful. Ye Haoran naturally didn't know what everyone in the toilet was thinking. He had already arrived at the resting position of class 4. Hey? Ye Haoran, what are you doing here? Wang Hui, the head teacher of class 4, recognized him at a glance, with vigilance in his eyes, obviously familiar with someone's deeds. Ye Haoran nodded in satisfaction. He just likes the feeling that everyone knows him. I'm here for a fight. Where is Zhao Hui? Let him come out. Ye Haoran said slowly. Hearing that it was an offer war, Wang Hui was relieved. No one in the 2nd year of high school knew that Ye Haoran, who had done all kinds of bad things, had an extremely trashy contract spirit. Who is barking? Zhao Hui came here with the Aurora Wolf, and said with contempt, whose dog is released in broad daylight. At this moment, the Aurora Wolf behind him didn't know what was wrong, and suddenly let out a barking sound like a dog but not a dog. Wang roar. Zhao Hui's face turned green, and he turned to stare at Aurora Wolf. If you don't know how to bark, don't bark. Indeed, there are dogs barking, a big dog and a small dog. Ye Haoran replied with a calm expression. Don't use your tongue. Zhao Hui snorted coldly, obviously not wanting to continue entanglement on this topic. Since you want to make a date, then please. At this moment, an option suddenly appeared in Ye Haoran's mind. Option 1, make an appointment to fight directly, and then defeat Zhao Hui. Get the title Best Classmate, and the intimacy between classmates will be reduced by 50%. Option 2, bet a little before the game and make a small profit. Reward, Time Traveler Experience +1. Option 3, deliberately lose the game, and then sneak attack at night. Obtain the title Sneak Attacker in the light, and the success rate of sneak attack is 10%. Yeharan weighed it carefully, although he wanted the title of Choice 3 very much, but the reward for Choice 2 seems to be better in comparison. Space-Time Traveler, the name sounds very powerful, but I don't know if it is easy to use. After making up his mind, Yeharan waved his hand. Appointments are fine, but do you want some prizes to add to the fun? Zhao Hui was taken aback, and asked, what do you want to bet? Elementary Ferocious Beast Inner Alchemy, 5 pieces. Yeharan said lightly. Zhao Hui's eyes narrowed. It's not like he couldn't take out the 5 low-level Beast Inner pills. He didn't expect Yeharan to dare to bet like this. You must know that although the primary Beast Inner Alchemy is the most basic inner alchemy for cultivation, its value is still very high. One inner alchemy is worth more than 3,000 Chinese coins, and 5 are 15,000. This made him wonder if Yeharan had any whole cards. After thinking for a while, Zhao Hui said, you can bet, but I have to see your contract spirit first. Although he didn't believe it, in order to prevent Yeharan from getting rich and piling up the contract spirit levels, he still had to guard against it. This is easy to say. Yeharan didn't smudge, and with a wave of his hand, the little goldfish appeared in the fish tank. Well, only 2 levels. Zhao Hui immediately felt relieved. He thought Yeharan had some whole cards. In the end, the Spirit Master broke through to the 2nd level and dared to challenge him. The 4th level, so ridiculous. A moment later, on the Douling stage, Yeharan held the fish tank with one hand, and the little goldfish stared at the cute eyes in the fish tank, spitting bubbles non-stop. Zhao Hui had a haughty expression on his face, and the teeth of the Aurora wolf beside him kept rubbing against each other, as if they would rush out in the next moment. Okay, let's start. In order to avoid suspicion, Zhou Jianghai and Wang Hui stood together as referees. It's just that Wang Hui is full of confidence, while Zhou Jianghai looks helpless. If he had known this, he should have given Yeharan a 0 point. Yeharan lost the game, and he lost Zhou Jianghai's people. Melt. After Zhao Hui heard the start order, he immediately issued an order, and the Aurora wolf immediately emitted brilliance. Although his strength is much higher than Yeharan's, the bet is too big, and he dare not take it too high. Roar! Laser Lang emitted silver light all over his body, and his body gradually floated up with a roar. Illusion! Zhao Hui calmly drew the power to control the spirit, and the Aurora wolf slowly turned into a short blade in the light. As soon as Zhao Hui grasped the short blade, his whole temperament changed. Tool Soul Contract Spirit. Able to turn oneself into a weapon to help the Imperial Spirit Master fight. Zhou Jianghai was taken aback for a moment. He didn't expect such a genius to exist in Class 4. The probability of awakening of the Soul-type Contract Spirit is extremely low, so it can be seen but cannot be sought. On the other hand, Wang Hui's face is confident, and he only feels that he has a lot of face. He spent a lot of money on this Zhao Hui. He just poached it from another school last semester, and it was specially used for his teaching performance. On the other side, Yeharan frowned slightly when he saw Zhao Hui whose body was shining with silver light. He has only heard of the soul-type contract spirit, but has not seen it yet. When Zhao Hui was beaten up last time, Zhao Hui was beaten to death before he could release the contract spirit, and he didn't have time to see him at all. Die, Yeharan! Like sparks followed by lightning, Zhao Hui rushed over with a short blade in his hand. Yeharan quickly put the fish tank aside, and dodged sideways. I have to say that there is still a big gap in the combat experience of the two. Yeharan hid back and forth but made Zhao Hui helpless, and when it came to a critical moment, Yeharan could hold the handle of the knife with his hands and carry it. Ye Haoran's incomparably flexible fighting style gave Zhao Hui a feeling that he had nowhere to use his strength. The students in the audience were very surprised. This should be an impassioned battle. Why is the whole painting style so strange? It's like two clowns are dancing. Fuck, I can't go on like this anymore, this is a waste of spiritual power. Zhao Hui thought to himself. He increased the output of controlling spirit power in his hands, and the short blade instantly became longer. Fuck, can you grow longer? Ye Haoran was startled, and Zhao Hui directly swung the short blade that turned into a long knife, forcing him to retreat again and again. Taking advantage of the time to retreat, Ye Haoran picked up the fish tank, and input the weak spirit control power in his body to the goldfish. For a moment, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. A feeling of spiritual connection with goldfish appears, which is extremely fantastic. Regardless of feelings, Ye Haoran silently said in his heart, Dragon Yin. Because the little goldfish has no skills, he has never released it, so he can only try it out. Immediately, a faint golden light radiated from the goldfish's body, turning into a phantom and flying into his eyebrows. Damn it, the goldfish turned out to be a contracted spirit of the possessed species. Before he had time to think about it, a hot energy was condensing in Ye Haoran's throat, and the spirit control power in his body was rapidly consumed. At this time, Zhao Hui saw Jin Ye Haoran's fish possessing him, and he couldn't wait to laugh a few times. According to common sense, the possessing contract spirit has no skills at all, and will only increase the physical attributes of the spirit master. In other words, there is no such thing as a whole card. Can only rely on strength. Thinking of getting 5 primary inner alchemy soon, Zhao Hui became excited, and directly slashed to end the game quickly. With the support of the goldfish, Ye Haoran's senses have improved slightly, and he easily dodged the long knife and brought the two of them closer. Okay. Zhao Hui suddenly saw the golden light coming out of Ye Haoran's throat, and suddenly felt a sense of danger in his heart. Ye Haoran looked at Zhao Hui, who was close in front of him, opened his mouth suddenly, and the golden light spread out instantly. Roar! Zhao Hui was struck by lightning for a moment, and fell down straight after a second pause. Because the Imperial Spirit Master lost consciousness, the contract spirit also automatically took back the beast Imperial space. This, 1. Zhou Jianghai looked shocked, as if seeing a sow flying into the sky. Only Su Chen stood up and shouted, Brother Ye, in society, I don't talk too much harshly. This, how could you lose? Zhao Hui stood there in a daze, repeating it over and over again. Zhou Jianghai suppressed the excitement on his face, and patted Wang Hui on the shoulder pretending to be sad. Well, don't be so overwhelmed. Also, thank you. After finishing speaking, Zhou Jianghai couldn't hold back his smile anymore, and left with a big laugh. This smile also made Wang Hui sober. He looked at Zhao Hui, who was unconscious on the ground, and said quickly, Go to someone and carry it to the infirmary. Oh. Only then did Class 2 and 4 of Senior High react from the shock, and hurriedly dragged Zhao Hui to the infirmary. Infirmary. It's nothing serious, it's just that I was mentally unable to bear the skills of the soul impact and fainted. The school doctor came to a conclusion after some inspections, and took out several bottles of medicine for the people in Class 4 to feed to Zhao Hui. After a lot of fuss, Zhao Hui finally opened his eyes leisurely. How's it going, Zhao Hui? Seeing him waking up, Wang Hui hurriedly asked, Is that the soul skill that Ye Haoran released? What do you feel? What the hell, there's a dragon. You're not bad, kid. Is the last one a soul impact skill? Zhou Jianghai rubbed his hands excitedly. Possession-type contract spirits don't have many skills, let alone mental shock-type panacea skills. What's more, Ye Haoran's goldfish is just a 1-star contract spirit. Is it possible that he was frightened by brother's arrogance? Ye Haoran had a flat face, as if he was stating some facts. The corner of Zhou Jianghai's mouth twitched, he really believed in that evil to ask Yehaoran. After chatting a few words, Yehaoran walked aside. Su Chen had already been waiting by the side. "Fuck, you're handsome." Su Chen pretended to be shocked, and said, "You stunned Zhao Hui with the opening of your mouth, it really belongs to you." The corner of Yehaoran's mouth twitched. "Why does your description sound so bad to me? I won 5 Junior Beast Inner Alchemy today, let me treat you to dinner." Zhangjiawan Food Stalls. "The 2 dishes have been served, please use it slowly." Su Chen frowned slightly. "Come to such a simple place, isn't it too inappropriate for our identities?" Yehaoran unceremoniously picked up the skewers and rolled them up, and replied while eating, "Hurry up and eat it, it's absolutely delicious." Half a moment later, Su Chen licked his lips eagerly, and the bamboo sticks in front of him had piled up like a hill. "It smells so good." "Yehaoran, you really know how to find a place." Yehaoran was about to open his mouth to tease a few words, when an option suddenly appeared in his mind. What is different from the past is that this time the option borders are all dark red, and there is a 2-minute countdown in the lower right corner. Yehaoran instantly understood that this should be an urgent choice with a time limit. Option 1, leave immediately to avoid the aftermath of the battle. Reward, escape speed increased by 5%. Option 2, hide in the distance and wait for the opportunity. Reward, eyesight plus 10%. Option 3, rescue the Yu Lingwei who was hunted down. Reward, high-level ferocious beast inner alchemy plus 1. Below this option is also an ever-changing minimap with a green dot and a red dot being chased. Control the spirit guard. Yehaoran's body trembled, it seemed that he couldn't save it at all. Yu Lingwei is a law enforcement officer who specializes in maintaining social security. It mainly prevents the spirit masters from causing chaos, and is extremely powerful. Now he is being chased and killed, and the rewards given by the system are so generous, there is a problem. However, Yehaoran still decided to go over and have a look. He took it out of his pocket, found some money and put it on the table, and said to Su Chen, "I'm going to take a step ahead, and you can make up for the rest of the meal." After speaking, he disappeared in a flash. Su Chen looked at the 2 Oniwan coins that Yehaoran gave him, and fell into deep thought. On the other side, the unfinished buildings in the suburbs of the city. "Hey, I said you give me something, can't we owe each other?" A lazy voice sounded. A young man in a blue hoodie was standing on a black bird, and said to the black-clothed figure flying ahead, "Zhongkanan, you guys are really too bold." The hoarse voice of the black-clothed figure sounded, and the badge of the spirit control guard on his chest was already stained with blood. "Oh, it's really unlucky that you ruined the sacrificial ceremony." The eyes of the young man in the hoodie turned cold, thinking of something unpleasant. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly. "I succeeded immediately, but I didn't expect you to steal the sacrifice. You must die today." As he said that, the silver spirit controlling power on his body was directly poured into the black bird, and the black bird under his feet made a long cry, and the speed increased rapidly. "Hoo-hoo!" Yehaoran recognized the small map in his mind, panting heavily. Now his position should be where the 2 are about to arrive. He ran here for 20 minutes, just to see what was going on at the scene. If he can afford it, he will do it, if he can't, he will slip away. Life is important. Okay. Yehaoran narrowed his eyes slightly, and the 2 figures in the distance were moving rapidly towards this side. When he saw the silver spirit controlling power on the young man behind him, his expression became a little ugly. This silver spirit control power, this is at least a great spirit master. The color of the spiritual power of a spiritual master will be different at each stage of cultivation, from white, grey, and silver for apprentices, spiritual masters, and great spiritual masters. Yehaoran himself is only 2 levels, how can he deal with the great imperial spiritualist who is over 30 levels? Thinking of this, he felt like running away with oil on the soles of his feet. Just when he was hesitating, Yu Lingwei, who wanted to quickly distance himself, suddenly became faster and came near Yeharan in an instant. Well, anyone? Yu Lingwei discovered Yeharan immediately, and looked over with cold eyes. Yeharan quickly raised his hands to show that he had no weapons, and at the same time showed him the school badge of Baitong No. 2 Middle School. A student. Yu Lingwei pondered for a moment, glanced at the blackbird that was about to chase, and threw away the bag in his hand, then, hurry up and get it to your teacher, hurry up. Fuck. Yeharan subconsciously caught the cloth bag, and when he raised his head, the cold eyes of the young man in the hoodie swept over. Are you kidding me? I'm only 2 grades. This young man in a hoodie is not a good thing at first glance, he will be skinned if he is caught. Young birthday. Yeharan let out a strange cry, and ran as fast as he could, shouting as he ran, help! A pervert is chasing me. It's a pity that this is a remote suburb, and usually there are not many people at all, so his cry for help naturally fell to nothing. Award obtained, Advanced Beast Inner Alchemy +1. Does this count as saving the Lingwei? Could it be that he blamed him for it? Yeharan wanted to cry, but when he turned his head, the blackbird had already arrived behind him, and the eerie aura emanating from his body made his hairs stand on end. Yeharan suddenly thought of something, and quickly found the number of time traveler experience obtained before in the system space. At the moment of using it, Yeharan's figure flickered and appeared directly in the distance. What? Zhang Kannan was taken aback. Why did he seem to see someone teleporting? Is it an illusion? But when he caught up again and Yeharan appeared in the distance again, the young man in the hoodie fell into deep thought as he looked at the fragments of the school uniform in his hand. How can someone really teleport? At this time, Yeharan couldn't help shivering. The clothes behind him had been torn into strips of tuxedo by the blackbird. But his face is a little excited now, the time traveler given by the system is really a cheat to use. As long as he thinks about a certain place in his mind, he will teleport there in a few seconds. The system has just provided him with instructions. Seeing that the young man in the hoodie couldn't catch up with him, Yeharan suddenly became a little flustered. Looking at the blackbird who was chasing after him, an idea formed in his mind. He silently remembered a location in the distance, and stood there without moving, waiting for Zhang Kannan to come over. Zhang Kannan was taken aback when he saw this scene. Could it be that the opponent's teleportation ability has been cooled down and can't be used? Commanding the blackbird to come to Yeharan, Zhang Kannan looked down at Yeharan with a hint of strangeness in his eyes. Being able to teleport is a very powerful skill, especially if the opponent is just an apprentice of Yuling. If he can be included in the organization, a future strong man can be cultivated. Yeharan didn't care about Zhang Kannan, he was staring at the blackbird in front of him. If it weren't for this dead bird, he would have run away long ago. What are you looking at, you flat-haired beast, black moth? Yeharan stared at it, and when he freed his hands, he was a big pussy. Blackbird. You stopped so fast, I thought you were going to surrender, but you just wanted to slap me? Blackbird's pupils turned red in an instant. Yu read book www.yuyuganshu.com let out a long roar, and rushed out without waiting for Zhang Kanjiun's consent. It must smash this cub into thousands of pieces. At this time Yeharan had already appeared in the distance, grinning and rubbing his palms. The palms were already red and swollen. Flat-haired bastard, the head is really hard. Yeharan shook his hands, caught a glimpse of the crazy blackbird rushing towards him, and hurriedly started to run. You bastard, why did you suddenly get nervous? Zhang Kannan grabbed the blackbird's feathers tightly, fearing that he would be thrown from the air. He was only thinking about recruiting Yeharan, and he didn't notice someone's small movements at all. For some reason, his contract spirit went crazy. Okay. Zhang Kannan's eyes shrank fiercely, and he saw Yeharan sneaking directly into the window of an unfinished building. Although the windows were not decorated, they were only big enough for blackbirds to pass through. Boom! After a loud noise, Zhang Kannan slammed directly on the windowsill and slid down the wall. Fortunately, it was only on the third floor, so Zhang Kannan didn't fall to his death. Looking at Yehauren, who just plucked a few blackbird feathers in the distance to show off his might, and then at the crazy blackbird, Zhang Kannan was a little confused. He was being played like a dog by a second-level spirit master? Does the teleportation skill have no CD and does not consume spiritual power? Seeing that a man and a bird were about to rush into the urban area in the distance, Zhang Kannan directly took the contract spirit back to the beast familiar space. Seriously remembering Yehauren's cheerful face, Zhang Kannan left unwillingly. Have they gone? Yehauren looked at the blackbird that disappeared without a trace, and turned to look at the cloth bag in his hand. The cloth bag was slowly opened, and an object sealed with a crystal ball rolled out. Hey, what is this? Yehauren picked it up and exposed it to the sun. A blood-red black liquid was sealed inside, and there was already a rudimentary form of a crow. The black-red liquid exudes a smell, which is very uncomfortable. However, since both sides are robbing, it is definitely not something useless. After studying for a while, Yehauren decided to go to the library to check the information first, to see what this thing is useful for. National Library. The carcass of a holy beast. Yehauren held the book in his hand and compared the features on it with the crystal ball in his hand one by one. Really, I'll wipe. Seeing that all the characteristics fit, Yehauren was a little embarrassed. He doesn't know what the concept of a holy beast is, and the value measuring objects in the book are also things he has never seen before. Now that this thing is in his hand, he is afraid that Zhang Kannan's organization will come to him. After all, he didn't know if the other party had a way to detect this thing. Handing it back to Yu Lingwei is also very troublesome, because he can't explain how he escaped from the hands of the great Yu Lingwei at all. If the system is exposed, he will wait to be sliced. At this time, he glanced at a passage in the book. It can be used to refine and attack the bottleneck of the realm, and it can also be hatched as a contract spirit. Yehauren curled his lips. Who would use such a dark thing as a contract spirit? It's too cheap. So he is going to refine it directly. Since it can hit the realm, it can definitely improve his realm. Use this thing first. A bead appeared in Yehauren's hand, which was the high-level beast inner alchemy rewarded by the system. He found a practice place and opened a practice room with half the price of his student ID. Yehauren directly swallowed the high-level beast inner alchemy. The aura in the inner alchemy was stimulated at once, and it was transformed into the power of controlling the spirit in Yehauren's mouth and entered the body. The little goldfish was also jumping around excitedly in the fish tank on the side, and its body was also filled with aura. After a while, the entire training room was filled with a dense mist of spiritual energy, like a fairyland. A trace of spiritual mist seeped into the rooms on both sides from the gap in the wall, and the people in the rooms on both sides noticed it instantly. Fuck me, what kind of plane is the person in the next room doing? A spiritual master who was practicing meditation opened his eyes, and fell into deep thought as he saw the wisps of spirit mist seeping through. Everyone is absorbing the aura of heaven and earth in the training room, and you have your own aura, right? Ahem. Yehauren coughed a few times, completely not expecting this situation. At this moment, Yehauren's room was filled with spiritual mist, and his visibility was greatly reduced. He had only swallowed a low-level ferocious beast inner alchemy before, and it was the first time he swallowed a high-level one, so he didn't understand the situation at all. Now it seems that there are more than 1 billion bits of aura contained in it, which is not something he can absorb at all. The staff outside also noticed this situation and hurried over to check. Here, is this on fire? Why do I look like the aura is condensed? Just when people outside were puzzled, Yehauren had another option in front of him, and it was blood red. Option 1. Spread out all the aura in the body to help the larvae of the night demon crow recover quickly. Reward: the title of Best Terrorist is increased by 1, and there is a probability of being hit by a missile when wearing it. Option 2. Absorb the aura quickly, before the night demon crow larva recovers, and prevent it from recovering. Note: aura absorption speed has been increased by 300%. Reward: Skill Dragon Roar level +1 option 3, put it to death directly, throw down the crystal ball and escape. Reward: the title of Rotten Salted Fish is increased by 1, and there is a probability of reducing the lifespan if it is rotten. Select time, 1 minute. Yeharan was taken aback. Why did he pick up the cloth bag that he casually threw aside? I saw that the black-red liquid in the crystal ball had partially condensed, and the shape of a crow had appeared and condensed rapidly. Yeharan felt a chill in his heart. Fortunately, there was a system option to remind him, otherwise he would not know how he died. Who would have thought that this thing could absorb aura on its own? Just imagine, he is slowly absorbing spiritual energy. A holy beast suddenly revived in the cloth bag beside it. This mother's life will be restarted immediately. Choice 1 and Choice 3 are definitely not options, so only Choice 2 remains. Throwing the crystal ball aside, Yeharan sat on the ground and began to breathe. The endless spiritual energy turned into a vortex was breathed into his body by him, and the spiritual power accumulated in his body increased rapidly. A transparent feeling suddenly appeared, and the little goldfish twisted its tail a few times. It became longer in an instant, and the breath of the third-level Yuling spread out. Yeharan glanced at it, and the concentration of the spirit mist in the room had obviously decreased a lot. But the crystal ball was still absorbing, and several cracks had appeared on the surface. Can you so much? Yeharan quickly closed his eyes and continued breathing, frantically absorbing the escaping spiritual mist. After a while, the system prompt sounded. Reward: increase the level of skill Dragon Roar by 1. Seeing this reward, Yeharan heaved a sigh of relief, which means he succeeded, so he doesn't have to worry about barbecue. He opened the attribute panel, and saw that the attributes of the little goldfish had changed a lot. Goldfish, evolvable, star, 1 level, level 3 Yuling skill, Dragon Song, level 2 let out a roar to deter the enemy, with a mental shock and a chance to interrupt the enemy's skill. Release skill, Dragon Tail Swing, level 1 swing the dragon tail to cause range damage to nearby enemies, and has a chance to add dizziness. Yeharan was overjoyed. Not only did he break through to the 3rd level Spirit Master, but the little goldfish also had an extra skill. Moreover, it was a rare range damage skill. The original Dragon Roar skill was upgraded with a silence effect. Glancing at the crystal ball on the side, I saw that a part of the crystal ball had been cracked, and a crow's head had been exposed. Yeharan reached out to pick up the crystal ball. The crow moved its head, and stared at him fiercely with black eyes. It's a pity that only one head of it condensed successfully, and the body did not condense successfully because of insufficient aura, and could not move. Hey, you little thing, still dare to stare at me? Yeharan stared, and smashed the crystal ball directly on the ground, causing a dent in the tiles on the ground. Fuck, so hard? Yeharan picked up the crystal ball again, only to see that it was still intact, and there were no new cracks. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Yeharan quickly put away the crystal ball and opened the door, only to see several staff members standing outside. Excuse me, sir, what happened just now? The staff member asked politely. His eyes froze when he saw the depression on the floor. Well, if you damage the facilities in the room, you need to pay for it. Professionals came to make an assessment immediately, and issued a fine of 1,000 yuan to Yeharan. After paying the fine unwillingly, Yeharan successfully entered the blacklist of this practice site. On the other side, on a barren hill in the suburbs of Baitong City. What? You said that the item was not recovered, and a second-level spirit master took it away. A big man with a square face looked at Zhang Kannan, who was dejected in front of him with a look like you were teasing me. That kid has a teleportation skill. I'm afraid it's a family inheritance skill. I can't catch him, and my bird seems to be sick. Zhang Kannan scratched his head as if he had eaten poop, turned around and summoned the black bird. Chirp! As soon as the black bird came out, its eyes were red and it went on a rampage, and its half-bald head slammed straight at the big man. Humph! The big man with a square face let out an angry snort, and black and purple energy spread in his hands, and he strangled the black bird's neck in one go. Your bird looks so unique. Seeing that the hair on the black bird's neck was almost plucked, the square-faced man felt a little happy for no reason, so he knocked the black bird unconscious and threw it back to Jiang Kannan. Do you have any information about the second-level spirit master? I'll check it out. Besides, if you make such a low-level mistake next time, I'll kill you. The eyes of the square-faced man turned cold, and his body was filled with golden spirit-controlling power, soaring into the air and flying into the distance. Sage Master of the Spirit. I'm almost there too. Jiang Kannan raised his head slightly, and the silver spirit control power in his hand was already a touch of gold. The next day, Baitong No. 2 Middle School. Zhou Jianghai glanced at Ye Haoran, who hadn't slept for the first time, and announced to the class with a serious expression, after a night of hard work by our second-grade teacher, the results of the midterm exam have been sorted out. Ugh! As soon as this remark came out, the students below were full of grievances. Zhou Jianghai knocked on the podium, with an expression of hating iron but not steel. What are you doing with your head down? Now I'm going to announce the results and rankings. First place, Zhou Xiaoyu, with 89 points in cultural subjects, 81 points in combat subjects, and a total score of 170. Second place. The penultimate place, Ye Haoran, Yu Kanshu www.yuyuganshu.com with 100 points in culture, 20 points in practical combat, and a total score of 120. When reading it, Zhou Jianghai deliberately bit the 100 points very hard, which made Ye Haoran's eyelids twitch. Okay, the reading is over. If you have any questions. Teacher, I have a problem. Su Chen raised her hands seriously and asked, why didn't you read my grades? So you know why I only got to the bottom two. Zhou Jianghai stared at Su Chen with a strange expression, and said quietly, some people's culture class and his desk mate can just pass. This. The atmosphere of the whole class stagnated. Doesn't this mean that Su Chen scored 20 points in the culture test? Zhou Jianghai cleared his throat and said earnestly, in 2 months' time, it will be the last final exam for the second year of senior high school. This will determine whether you can get into the honor class in the third year of high school. There are 30 places in the excellent class, and there are 10 classes in our grade. So, although the words were not finished, the students below could all realize the seriousness of the matter. Honors classes represent not only honors, but also the wealth of resources that come with them. Finally, when get out of class was over, Ye Haoran received 5 low-grade ferocious beast inner pills sent by Zhao Hui. Su Chen, sell it for me, it's useless for me to keep it. Ye Haoran handed over the low-grade ferocious beast inner alchemy to Su Chen, and now he has no interest in this kind of low-level inner alchemy. That kind of high-level ferocious beast inner alchemy is so cool, it has a lot of aura, and once it is absorbed, it will swallow clouds and mist. Su Chen accepted the inner alchemy and said, let's go together, let's go to the black market to see if there are any buyers. The black market was set up behind a building in the center of the city, covering a huge area, and it was extremely lively with people coming and going. Ye Haoran has never been here before. She always thought that underground trading places like the black market were located in remote suburbs. Seeing how lively it was, he wouldn't believe it if no one participated in the management of Yuling Bureau. Excellent primary medicinal materials. Buy 1 get 1 free, buy 2 get 3 free. All kinds of powerful contract spiritual potions, if you fake it, you will pay 10. Ascend to Heaven pill, the contracted spirit will be upgraded to 100 levels immediately after eating it. The corner of Ye Haoran's mouth twitched. Why are there still some ascending heaven pills for sale? It's too fake. Su Chen saw Ye Haoran's doubts, and he explained with a smile, the stalls in the black market are not reviewed and managed by anyone, and there is no certainty whether they are true or false, but those who visit the black market are not fools, and they will not believe these things. With that said, Su Chen walked to the Shengqian pills booth and bought a pack for 10 yuan, and fed it to its contracted bird spirit while walking. It's all jelly beans and the like, for the contracted spirit to eat as snacks. There are also some shops on both sides of the black market, and these shops have some economic strength. Ye Haoran and the two chose a shop at random, and said to the waiter after entering the door, "Elementary ferocious inner alchemy." The waiter smiled all over his face, pointed to the junior beast Neoden on the shelf and said, "We have an event in our store today, you are so lucky, you only need 3,500 Chinese coins." 3,500. Ye Haoran was taken aback for a moment, he thought that the black market would sell it cheaper than the market price. Su Chen explained from the side, "If you buy from a regular channel, the purchase amount is limited, and the waiting time will be longer." Ye Haoran nodded to express his understanding, and took out 5 low-level beast inner pills, expressing that he wanted to sell them. 2,500 pieces. Ye Haoran pondered for a while, and reluctantly agreed to the price. After getting 12,500 Chinese coins, Ye Haoran and Su Chen started wandering around the black market. At this moment, the options of the system appear. Option 1, go to the third store on the right-hand side for normal shopping. Reward, a lot of spiritual control power. Option 2, continue to wander around. Reward, Chinese currency 10,000. Option 3, blow up the third shop on the right to the ground. Note, rockets have been automatically stored in the system space. Reward, more and more punishment. Inscription. Looking at the rockets that have been stored in the system space, Ye Haoran felt a little hot all over, wishing to take them out and launch them immediately. But in the end it was reason that overcame desire, and using rockets here is likely to be sentenced to 100 years in prison. After thinking about it for a while, Ye Haoran decided to go to that shop to see the situation. Since the system gave a choice, there must be something in that store. Ye Haoran walked to the door of that shop. This shop is called Wanyu shop, which is divided into upper and lower floors. Ye Haoran wandered around on the first floor, and had to say that there are indeed quite a lot of medicinal materials. Then when he looked at a special herb, the option suddenly appeared. Option 1, buy dragon spirit grass. Note, dragon spirit grass can speed up the evolution of goldfish. Reward, open the evolution system. Option 2, give up buying and wait until night to steal. Reward, add 1 to the title of lonely thief. There is an indefinite probability of becoming a death sentence when worn. Option 3, find other alternatives. Reward, high-level ferocious beast inner alchemy +1. Ye Haoran carefully looked at the options. The options 1 and 3 are undoubtedly the best. The option of choice 2 is a shortcut for people to take a shortcut, a pure horse option. Although he now needs to choose the high-level fierce beast inner alchemy with 3 rewards, the evolution system with 1 reward seems to be more precious. After making up his mind, Ye Haoran picked up the dragon spirit grass in front of him, and asked the waiter next to him, "How much is this?" 30,000 yuan per plant, don't bargain, dear. Ye Haoran frowned slightly, so expensive? He only has nearly 20,000 yuan on him now, and he can't buy a single one. Seeing Ye Haoran hesitate, the waiter at the side introduced enthusiastically, dragon spirit grass can be used to configure fire attribute potions for great imperial spirit masters. It is a very rare thing. If you buy it and give it to the elders, it will save face. Just when Ye Haoran was in trouble, his eyes seemed to see something, and his eyes lit up instantly. Zhang Kenan was very angry today. First, the sacrificial ceremony he was in charge of was destroyed by Yuling Wei. He was teased by a second-level spirit master again, and Blackbird is still going crazy. Despite being scolded by the boss of their organization, Blackbird had to come to the black market to find someone to treat him because of mental problems. Reluctantly spending a lot of money to finally calm the Blackbird, Zhang Kenan slowly walked down from the second floor with the Blackbird in his arms. The Blackbird looking around suddenly widened its eyes when it turned its head, straightened its neck and was about to rush forward. Jiang Kannan quickly grabbed its feathers and threw it into the beast familiar space, looking in the direction that Asuka was about to rush over. Can't be so unlucky? Seeing the black bird's reaction, Jiang Kannan actually already knew something. The figure of a sunny boy in school uniform appeared directly in his eyes. Jiang Kannan quickly put the hood on his head and put on a peaked cap to cover his face. Can't see me, can't see me. Jiang Kannan muttered in a low voice, and quickly walked down the stairs from the other side, and was patted on the shoulder just 2 steps away. Hi, long time no see. A big boy's face appeared, and a hand clasped his shoulder firmly. Jiang Kannan took out a mask and put it on his face, turned his head and asked innocently, well, do we know each other? Ye Haoran grinned, and showed Jiang Kannan the phone number of Yuling Bureau he was calling. After finally meeting someone who took advantage of him, how could he let him run away like this? Jiang Kannan was taken aback, and quickly hung up the phone with a begging look in his eyes. Brother, you have made my bird crazy, what else do you want? Ye Haoran ignored Jiang Kannan's eyes, and said solemnly, I want to buy something now, but I don't have enough money. You can pay for me, is it reasonable? Reasonable? Shit. Jiang Kannan smiled awkwardly and said, oh, I didn't recognize it just now, I'm sorry, since you need help, I will definitely help. Ye Haoran directly pulled Jiang Kannan to the front of Longling grass, picked up a plant and gestured. Jiang Kannan heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it wasn't a particularly expensive medicinal material, so he could still accept this little money. He entered 30,000 yuan on the machine and was about to swipe his card to pay, but was stopped by Ye Haoran. I don't mean this one, Ye Haoran pointed to a box of stock on the shelf, I mean this box. Jiang Kannan's eyes widened. Are you here to rob? Even if you grab it outright, you still have to leave some money for me to turn around. Squeezing wool can't kill sheep, right? But seeing Ye Haoran skillfully clicked on the phone number of Yuling Bureau, Jiang Kannan endured the pain in his heart, and said tremblingly, I buy it. Next to this black market is the Yuling Bureau, and it doesn't take a minute for the Yuling Wei to come. If she is caught, she will really be barbecue, and she will have to choose between life sentence and death penalty. 30,000 yuan has been paid, 30,000 yuan has been paid. Pleasant payment sounds came and went. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com did not stop until Jiang Kannan's payment card issued a reminder of insufficient balance. More than 30 plants of fire spirit grass in front of him have piled up into a hill, exuding a scorching aura. Jiang Kannan took back the payment card angrily, and left without looking back. Feeling the black bird constantly colliding in the space of the imperial beast, Jiang Kannan really wanted to cry but had no tears. What the is this called? The bird was not cured, and so many were caught in it. Fuck Ye Haoran, who was that guy just now? So rich. Su Chen helped Ye Haoran put the dragon spirit grass in his backpack, and looked at Jiang Kannan who had gone far away, with a little curiosity in his eyes. Oh, I'm just a relative with a lot of money, don't worry about it. Ye Haoran said lightly, in fact, he was already happy in his heart. Unexpectedly, Zhang Kanjian was so rich, and he made more than 1 million yuan just by collecting the wool. This is much faster than getting money from robbery. Across the road, a group of people are watching here. Is he the Ye Haoran you mentioned? A refined young man nodded with great interest, looked at Ye Haoran's school bag full of fire grass and said, it's quite generous. Next to the elegant young man, Zhao Hui gave Ye Haoran a look of apprehension, as if some bad memories had been brought back. Forget it, brother Qin, let's go, don't provoke him, his mind control skill is a bit evil. Zhao Hui shook his head, and didn't plan to rely on the number of people to find trouble. It was really Ye Haoran's dragon chant that formed a golden dragon impact in his mind that was too powerful, and he still hasn't recovered from it. The elegant young man surnamed Qin was not in a hurry to leave, but walked towards the two people on the opposite side of the road. Yeharan caught a glimpse of Zhao Hui's group approaching, and he didn't panic at all. Contract spirits cannot be used in the urban area, and it is no problem for him to single out a group of people with his physical body alone. She gave Su Chen a wink. Su Chen immediately understood, stepped back and left quietly. Zhao Hui and his group didn't care about Su Chen who left, their goal was all on Yeharan. Hello, hello. The young man surnamed Qin smiled elegantly, and stretched out his hand to Yeharan. My humble Qin Song, I want to get acquainted with you. Yeharan was also polite, and reached out to shake his hand. Just when Yeharan was about to withdraw his hand, Qin Song suddenly squeezed his hand harder. Student, you seem a little hypocritical. Qin Song's face was full of smiles, and at the same time, his palms were suddenly exerted, and the sound of interlacing joints sounded instantly. Yeharan's expression didn't change at all, as if it wasn't his hand that Ching Ching was needing. How can the strength of the Baitong bandit be beyond the imagination of others? What Qin Song did was just to loosen his joints. Well, do you think there is a possibility? I just don't have the strength. Yeharan also smiled shyly, and the muscles on his arms suddenly bulged. Crack, click. Qin Song's palm was pinched and deformed in an instant, and the dislocation of joints and bones sounded like fried beans. Ah! I'm a dick, let go. Hurry up and let go, it hurts me to death, me. Yeharan had a teasing look on his face, and he stepped up his hands again. Ow! Ow! Let go, do you have any humanity? Daddy daddy! Grandpa grandpa! I was wrong. Qin Song was already in tears from the pain, and he knelt down in front of Yeharan, causing the passers-by to laugh at him. Seeing that it was almost done, Yeharan let go of his hand. Qin Feng hastily pulled out his green and red palm, pointed at him with the other trembling hand and said, You are finished, you are completely finished. If you dare to provoke me, my Qin family will make it difficult for you to move. Oh! Yeharan directly took a step forward, scaring Qin Song back a long way, with vigilance in his eyes. Yeharan spread his hands helplessly, suddenly widened his eyes, pointed behind Qin Song and said, Look, there's something behind you. Qin Song snorted coldly, this kind of deception still wants to deceive me? At this moment, the little brothers supporting him on both sides suddenly released him to hide away, and pointed behind him as if to say something. Okay. When Qin Song turned his head, he saw that the front of a speeding car was almost on his nose. Boom! Qin Song completed a 180-degree turn in the air, and then hit the ground like a dead dog. His body was covered with a layer of cocky yellow aura, and it was obvious that he had used his contract spirit skills at the last moment. Yeharan's eyes are slightly lingering, the skill proficiency and reaction ability are really high, he thought the other party could be hit by a car badly. Ahem! 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 Qin Song got up from the ground, almost crying. Since the other party can race cars in the black market, then he is not afraid of his identity as the Qin family, and he can only suffer from this loss. Looking at Yeharan who was gloating at the side, Qin Song's eyes gradually showed killing intent. If it weren't for this guy, how could he suffer these things one after another? Damn it, give it to me, if you beat him to death, I'll take care of it if something goes wrong. Qin Song gave an order, and his 5 younger brothers rushed forward immediately. Zhao Hui glanced aside a few times and left sullenly without getting involved. Seeing the undisguised killing intent in Qin Song's eyes, Yeharan frowned. He didn't expect that a teenage boy would violently kill someone because of a momentary setback. At this moment, the options of the system appear. Option 1. Fight them directly on the spot and provoke the spirit control guards. Reward, a chance to commute sentence. Option 2. Lead the enemy to a remote alley and kill his 5 younger brothers. Reward, strength potion +2. Option 3. Apologize deeply and beg for forgiveness. Reward title Simple Fool, wearing it will lower IQ with just one glance. Yeharan chose the option. Although the opportunity to reduce the sentence of option 1 is tempting, he hopes that he will not use it. Ye Hao then took 2 steps back and ran towards some remote alleys in the black market. Qin Song grinned grimly, pulled out a dagger from his trouser leg and chased after him. Passers-by in the black market looked like they were watching the excitement, and no one came to stop them. Although the black market was built right next to the Yuling Bureau, it didn't have any special security personnel, and they wouldn't care about it as long as no one was killed. Ye Haoran glanced at a deadened alley out of the corner of his eyes, rushed in 2 quick steps, and waited at the entrance of the alley. A rushing little brother just rushed over. He was twisted by Ye Haoran with a pair of scissors and fell to the ground, unable to move. The remaining 4 rushed up. Ye Haoran didn't have any pressure at all, and almost knocked them all down with 1 punch. Reward, Strength Potion +2. After a while, when Qin Song came after him, his 5 younger brothers had already been trampled by Ye Haoran more than 10 times. Seeing that something was wrong, Qin Song summoned the contract spirit without hesitation. A Tuma turtle stone giant appeared next to him, and the breath of a 6th level contracted spirit rushed towards his face. Roar! The stone monster and Qin Song quickly merged into one, and Qin Feng's whole body was covered with rock protection. Ye Haoran didn't dare to neglect, and quickly summoned the goldfish from the mineral water bottle he carried with him. Big rock charge! Qin Song shouted angrily, and the heavy stone body rushed towards him with great inertia. Ye Haoran moved his throat and released Dragon Yin directly. Roar! Under the influence of the narrow terrain of the alley, the huge mental shock wave all hit Qin Song. Qin Song was struck by lightning for a moment, and his eyes became dull for a moment. At the same time, his giant rock charging stance was interrupted, and he automatically entered the cooldown. Taking advantage of Qin Song's dazed air, Ye Haoran quickly ran out from his side, and ran directly to the place where there were many people in the black market. There is no way. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is still a little bit behind the 6th level Imperial Spirit Master. On the other side, Qin Song, whose dizziness was over, also had a look of solemnity in his eyes, and chased after him after dispelling his contract spirit possession skills. No matter what Ye Haoran's status is, he must have a touch with him. Seeing that there were gradually more people around, Ye Haoran simply stopped running and turned back to wait for Qin Song. Qin Song didn't know what kind of medicine he was selling in his gourd, so he walked here step by step with vigilance. Ye Haoran smiled, pointed behind him and said, "Look, young Master Qin, there are kidnappers." Qin Song sneered. He was not standing on the road now, he really took him for a fool. Whoosh! Eat me a hemp rope. A hemp rope suddenly appeared from behind him and strangled his neck in an instant. Hey! Ugh! Qin Song immediately tried to cut the hemp rope with the dagger in his hand, but it didn't move after a few cuts, only a few steel cables in the hemp rope were exposed. You guys, actually add steel cables to the rope. Qin Song was strangled by Su Chen, who suddenly appeared from behind. Su Chen put his knee against Qin Song's back, strangled his neck desperately. Qin Song rolled his eyes and passed out after a while. Damn it, this thing actually wants to kill me. Ye Haoran curled his lips and kicked the half-dead Qin Song. I went to a nearby stall and bought 2 bags of fertilizer with the money in Qin Song's pocket. After a while, there was a heavy muffled sound of hitting the flesh in a certain alley, and a sound like killing a pig came from a certain fertilizer bag. The next day, the first news on TV was a mysterious moving fertilizer bag appeared in a certain block, suspected to be some kind of unknown creature, which made people panic.